Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating and honestly kind of counterintuitive idea about how to handle frustration. It comes from a spiritual teaching, and it might just make you rethink how you deal with stress.
You know that feeling, right? We've all been there. Things just get so overwhelming, so frustrating, you just want to find a mountaintop, or maybe just a pillow, and let out a huge scream. It feels like the ultimate release. But here's the question. Is that big, cathartic shout actually helping you in the long run?
Well, today we're going to look at a really unique perspective that challenges that whole idea. We're going to break down an argument from the source you see here, and it suggests that shouting, well, it might be doing more harm than good.
So first, let's just get the obvious out of the way. Why do we even do it in the first place? Because, let's be real, in that moment, it feels like it works. It feels great.
And the source totally gets this. The teaching acknowledges that when you shout, you are physically pushing out all that pent-up stagnant energy. It's a burst, right? An explosion. And the immediate feeling is relief. It feels refreshing, kind of like you just opened a pressure valve.
But this is where things get really interesting. The teaching basically says, okay, that feeling of relief, it's real. We're not denying that. But, and this is a big but, it's only one piece of a much larger and potentially problematic puzzle. That momentary relief, it comes with a serious hidden cost.
And that brings us right to the core of the idea, the hidden problem. This is where the teaching really flips the script and points out what it sees as the real danger in shouting your stress away.
The source asks us to think about a really simple but pretty deep question. After you've just violently pushed all that energy out of your system, what's your inner world look like? What's left in the space where all that frustration used to be?
And this leads us to what the speaker calls the void theory. It's a pretty straightforward four-step process. First, you shout. You release that pent-up energy. Second, that forceful push creates an internal vacuum, an empty space, a void. But, nature abhors a vacuum, and the source says this space doesn't stay empty for long. Something else rushes right in to fill it.
So, what fills that empty space? According to this teaching, it's something called saji. The source defines this as a kind of murky, negative, low-quality energy that's just naturally drawn to these empty spiritual spots. So you've basically just cleaned house for a very unwelcome guest.
And this is the really crucial point. This whole method traps you in a cycle. You feel stressed, you shout, you get that quick hit of relief, but then this soggy energy rushes in, and before you know it, you're feeling just as frustrated and murky as you did before, maybe even worse. You haven't actually solved the problem. Okay, so if forcing everything out is the problem, what's the solution? Well, the speaker proposes a totally different way of thinking about it. It's not about getting rid of the bad stuff. It's about bringing in the good stuff.
The key idea here is displacement, not just expulsion. Think of it like this. Say you have a cup full of muddy water. Instead of just dumping it out and having an empty cup, you start pouring clean, fresh water in. What happens? That clean water naturally pushes all the muddy water out over the top.
Now, this whole principle is based on a concept the source calls Jiliang, which you can kind of think of as the quality or the density of an energy. The argument is that energy with a higher Jiliang, a better quality, is just fundamentally stronger, and so it naturally displaces the weaker, murky, soggy energy.
And this chart just lays it out so clearly, right? You've got two different approaches. On one side, you have forceful expulsion, shouting. It creates a dangerous void, it's only temporary, and it invites bad energy in. But on the other side, you have quality displacement. It fills the space, it pushes out the bad, and it's all about making a lasting change by bringing in good energy.
This all sounds great in theory, but it leads to the big question, right? How do you actually do it? How are you supposed to bring this high-quality Jiliang energy into your life? Well, the speaker gives some really clear examples. It's about being conscious of what you consume. It could be reading books that really challenge you, that expand your thinking. It could be listening to really high-quality lectures or talks that elevate your understanding. The whole idea is to intentionally take in information and energy that's of a higher quality than where you're currently at. And what's so cool about this is that it's not a fight. The source really emphasizes this. You don't have to actively battle your bad feelings. All you have to do is focus on bringing in the good stuff. And that lower quality, murky energy, it just kind of recedes on its own. It gets pushed out without a struggle.
So why does all this matter so much? Well, it's because this displacement method is what actually breaks the cycle of frustration. Instead of just giving you a temporary fix, it puts you on a totally new path,
one that fundamentally changes your inner environment and leads to a more stable, lasting kind of peace.
So we'll leave you with this final thought from the source material. The next time you feel that pressure building up, the next time you get that urge to just shout it all out, maybe think about this alternative. Are you going to focus on emptying out and creating a void, or will you choose to consciously start filling yourself up with something better?